informal.
Casual Friday.
Yep. Don't mind if you swear. Swears are okay. Totally.
I don't swear. What are you talking about? We don't do that here.
This show is rated G.
No, rated T for Toby.
T for Toby.
He's sitting right there on the desk, actually.
Oh.
Giving us the
stink eye.
Yeah. My cats don't make it down into the shop.
You should do a whole episode featuring Buddha.
Buddha cat.
I should. I could, because he'll sit on the couch like that for a solid hour. I should just put a camera on him.
Yeah.
And just,
I watch it.
Yeah, and just every once in a while, just beep, cut over to him. There you go, Buddha cat.
Laser. Oh, Buddha cat. Seriously, Toby's just like...
Yeah, he's not amused.
No, I gotta get a shop dog. That's what I need. As soon as I live in a place that I own, I can get a dog. Getting a shop dog.
No, because your house does not allow.
No, they're cool with our cats. The cats do all right, but they didn't want us to have a dog. So damn.
Oh, Toby's like a cat. He's probably smaller than Buddha is.
He's probably smaller than my cat. My cat is massive. He has a moon that orbits him.
That's
all right.
I heard that he's got a starring role in the next Star Wars coming up. As,
yeah, he's the new Death Star.
Oh.
All right, folks are showing up. People are jumping into the live stream, so I figure we should probably get this party started. Thank you, everyone, for showing up a little later this evening. I'm glad that the weather did not prohibit our guests from joining us. Anyway, this is Prop Live. My name is Bill Durant from Punished Props, and I do this show every week where I usually grab some of my friends from the costume and prop making world, and we take your questions about prop and costume making. This week is super awesome. We have two people on who are two of my favorite people in the world. We have my friends Abby and Keith from KeAbtium, is what their website says. And it even says how to pronounce it, and I probably still screwed it up.
No,
how you doing, guys?
We're doing good. We're doing really, really good.
Trying to stay dry.
The weather's outside, we're inside, and we have an internet connection, therefore we can game, so we are
And
happy.
we have power, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are down in San Francisco, and right now is like the storm of the century down there.
It's been interesting, considering how dry it's been around here. So,
yeah.
You know, we were battening down the hatches. She's from Florida, so she's used to hurricane weather.
Yeah, I'm just like, this isn't a hurricane. What? So,
People are outside, like, stapling plastic over their windows and freaking out.
But interestingly enough, as far as how windy it is around here and how it's been, we just got a new outdoor, like a heater, one of those propane heaters, right? And we had another one that was always falling over when it would even be somewhat windy. So we got this new one that's supposed to be more, sturdy. It's got a wider base. You can collapse it. Looks like a small R2 unit.
It does. It really does.
And we put a cover over it, right? Because you don't want to get water in those things. And
we weighed it down with our propane tank.
I'm pushing it, going, well, this is pretty good. It would have to be a pretty gusty wind to knock this sucker over. Guess what? This morning, on its ass.
Oh,
hopefully it works, and now we're gonna return it to Lowe's.
Yeah. So they're saying something like 70 or 80 mile an hour winds. So
wow, yeah.
Pretty good around here.
No joke. You guys, so I mentioned earlier that you guys have a website, KeAbtium.com. Apparently it's elemental. Not a real element, I don't think, but it's elemental.
Yeah, we were mental when we came up with the name.
Okay. The story behind the whole naming of our website, because when we got together, we were like, obviously this prop costuming thing is us together. It's not just me being a pretty princess and him over here being Tony Stark. It's us together. So we wanted to come up with a name that meant something for us. And so we were joking around one day on the phone that if we were anything, we would be a gassy element. And it would be K-E and A-B, so KeAb, our names, and then Tium, which I think on the periodic table of elements is the ending of a gas. So, bada bing, and we went with it.
Yeah.
Done. Well, I first heard about you guys. You each individually, I think, did interviews with our pal Matt Munson on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And that was years ago. But I remember watching those videos. I'm like, those guys look pretty cool.
And then we kidnapped you at Comic-Con.
Exactly.
Did, and I'm not the first person you've kidnapped at Comic-Con.
No.
We kidnapped many people.
Yeah.
Come with us if you want to have fun.
Well, Cassandra.
Yeah. So Cassie, my shop assistant, who, by the way, is in New Zealand right now.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Her and her boyfriend Chris now are down there rubbing elbows with all their Weta friends, which I am supremely jealous of. Yeah, I got back from, she started working in my shop with me, and she's like, "Oh, you know those guys? They kidnapped me at Comic-Con." I was like, "Yes, they kidnapped me at Comic-Con."
We're gonna get a bad reputation. I think we did that to Travis Langley. He's the author of Batman and Psychology.
Yeah.
We did that to him one year. We're like, "Here, you're coming with us," and he's like, "Okay."
Yeah, it happens occasionally.
That's awesome. Well, you guys are super rad. You guys are the people I always go to when I have questions about, the world of cosplay and how, people interact on the internet. You guys are a fountain of knowledge and positive energy and practicality. So I appreciate having you around.
We appreciate you.
We've stepped in enough in our lives. I think if we were like, save yourself, save yourself. I think that's our mentality. It's like, don't do the stupid shit we did.
I will do my own stupid shit. Thank you very much.
Big butts.
Yeah, big butts. Before we get rolling, by the way, people who are watching live, of which we have a good handful of, we have the Q&A app going, so if you're watching live, you can start posting questions there, and we'll get to answering those in just a little bit. All of your prop and costume making questions. I have some upgrades to the shop that I'm really excited about. It's a little rearranged in the shop here. Turn 90, I was facing that way. Now I'm facing this way, so you can see my other posters. And I did that to accommodate my new laser cutter, and I'm really excited about that. I just put together an unboxing video. I might put that up tomorrow. But basically, I've been doing this prop making thing for like 2 or 3 years full time, and it's because of the people who watch this show and the people who buy my ebooks and buy my props and support me that I was able to buy freaking laser cutter. So you guys all rule and start looking for really cool things like laser cut dick butts out of wood. And more practical prop making things coming out of my shop because of that. So again, thank you everyone for making this crazy dream that I call a career work. Because you guys are awesome.
Yay, art!
Yeah. Woo, art. And then the other thing, you guys will find this really kind of fun. So all of my tools my big tools get a name. So my usually they're vaguely suggestive. So the drill press is called the bungholer, which is a funny word. And my oscillating spindle sander is called the spinatrator, which is pretty fun. But the laser cutter needs a name, and it doesn't have to be suggestive, but that might be funny. So people who are watching live, if you want to recommend names in the Q&A app, just put like laser name and then whatever you want to think it might be funny to name it. So, along with asking your questions today, also recommend names for the laser cutter, and maybe if they're good, we'll vote on them later on. That'll be really fun.
I'd like to submit for your consideration the Obliverator.
The Obliterator?
Obliverator.
Obliverator. All right, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
See, all I think about with laser, and I'm just like, oh, laser hair removal. So.
Yeah. We'll call it the high-tech Brazilian.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
I gotta figure out how to spell Brazilian. There we go. All right, that just made it to the top of the list.
That's just fun to say. What's that? My high-tech Brazilian. You got like a hairy supermodel in laser cutter form.
Yeah, hold still. All right. Why don't we start grabbing some questions? I got some from earlier today that came in. We can start tackling those. All right. This one comes from Lee, and this is about 3D modeling. Have you guys dipped your toe into into Pepakura or anything like that?
I personally have not.
When I was first researching Master Chief options, I researched enough of Pepakura to know that I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I think most of our experience with 3D modeling has been with developing the different pieces we need, and then we send off to like Shapeways or someone that has a 3D printer that we can use, because unfortunately our space doesn't have a 3D printer.
And that's an area that we have so little skill in. I mean, the most folding of paper I've ever done was probably origami. But it always seemed interesting to me, but it was one of those things where I don't have a lot of time, and I probably don't have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
So the idea of folding, taping, gluing, resining, bondoing. Yeah.
But you'll sit for hours and sculpt something out.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah, that may be an option. So, Lee, before we even get into your question, perhaps outsourcing your 3D work to someone else may be an option for you. Lee wants to know about breaking down a 3D model into basic shapes you'll use to create it from EVA foam. The way I would separate this, if you're making something hollow like a helmet that you're going to wear, you could do that with Pepakura. If you have a 3D model, like a polygon model, those translate really well into Pepakura Designer to flatten it out, and then you can put that on foam and glue it together and make a helmet. If it's something like a gun, and I've done a video on this before, you can do it mostly out of just flat sheets of foam. Like this, here's a chunk of foam right here, which I will be laser cutting from now on because it's awesome. You can do that all out of flat chunks of foam. For that, if you have access to a 3D model, you can sort of measure the thicknesses, the different layers that you need. And then it's a lot of trial and error, measuring and trying out different layers before you glue them together to make sure that the thicknesses are really good. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say something some people have been using. If you want to test it out, if you don't want to use foam just yet, you can use the heavy paper that you can get at Michael's and the sketchbook sheets. We've used those when we've had to do foam patterning before because it has the same kind of thickness. So does denim. Denim also works really well.
Yeah.
Fortunately, foam is relatively inexpensive.
Yeah.
But speaking of foam, I don't know if you've seen these, Bill. You probably have. But Ted Smith, also known as Evil Ted Smith, is a really cool build-your-own template pattern for foam for both helmets and some chest armor, some other pieces on YouTube. Very, very, very helpful stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put a link to all of this in the show notes, including Ted's helmet video. I talked to Ted this morning, and despite the moniker Evil Ted Smith, he is one of the nicest people on the planet.
yeah, he really is.
Cool. All right, Lee. Well, good luck with your 3D model and your EVA foam. All right, this question is from Nate. Different Nate. We get like 10 different Nates that show up, but I appreciate every one of them. He's starting on the glass battle axe from Skyrim and was wondering how he could make the bluish/clearish blade.
Oh, Whatchamacallit just did that. Oh, he makes his own beer. God damn it, he did the Imperial Blonde when you're at Dragon Con. Oh, we were looking at
Eric?
it. Yes. Yeah, Eric.
Eric Jarman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pops. I'm like, brain. I immediately always go to his beer because it was really good. Did he do it out of a clear resin and then he hand blended it while it was in the mold?
He did. So the way Eric did it, and I'll put a link to his page in the show notes, he toiled over that thing to get the color right of the glass. He did like, I don't know, a dozen or so different pulls from a mold to get the blade right because it's both the color and the transparency. You didn't want it to be too cloudy because you wouldn't get light through it. So he made up. So again, you may or may not be making a mold to do this. That's one way you could do it. But then he pulled a flat, smooth piece out of the mold, and then all of the etching in the piece, he carved that in after it came out of the mold because he's a crazy person. But it looked amazing.
Stock and Dremel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was beautiful. But
Yeah.
I would think, I mean, if you want to start, it'd be a real. I personally, what I would do is I would sculpt it out first before putting, put those etching marks in, using some sculpting tools, and then use a clear resin, and then blend the resin in with some color, some dyes and stuff. That's what I would do.
I mean, it almost feels like the most optimal way you're going to be able to pull it off is by making a mold.
Yeah, it really is, and I want to get my hands on one. Unfortunately, that glass axe that Eric made, Harrison Cricks did not let it leave DragonCon before purchasing it.
Wait, he was selling it?
No, he wasn't, but Harrison bought it anyway.
If I had known that, I would have been yoink.
Me too. I have a picture of you gawking at it.
I was actually like, I love props.
Yeah. Something else you could do, too, to get a similar effect is get a thicker piece of acrylic. They have a clear acrylic where the edge of it is kind of green. So you might, and this is a hypothetical, you might be able to sand in and etch in all of that detail with like a Dremel, and it might get a little bit of that greenish look. What I would recommend there is if you have a plastic store nearby, like I have a Tap Plastics, go get some scrap of different colored acrylic plastic and do some tests.
You know what they also might be able to do is a thing I did with my lightsaber.
I was just going to say
automotive paint. The spray automotive paint you can get.
Ooh.
it's basically a translucent clear coat.
Yeah.
So it comes in a color.
But it's translucent.
Yeah.
But it's got just enough of a tinge, and I used it on my Satil Sean lightsaber, the first one, and sprayed the blade so that way they looked glowing even when the saber wasn't on. But if you do it thin enough and you did your Dremel trick and you kind of taped it off, you might be able to get the same exact thing.
You're gonna have to do some tests for sure. It's you're using a lot of materials not the way the manufacturers had intended.
Disclaimer.
All right, thank you, Nate, for your question. Let's grab another one. This is from Mikhail. He says, how would one have an easier time doing embroidery on leather? Something I have never done.
Ooh, like what? Like, are we talking Game of Thrones, Cersei Lannister embroidery, or? I mean, it really depends on, because I do a lot of embroidery on cloth. That's one of my favorite things to do. But it also depends on the thickness of the leather.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
If you gotta hide like this, good luck, sir, and have nice hands afterwards.
Yeah, if you have a thick leather that you're working with, you're gonna have to pre-punch all your holes and do just a very probably coarse embroidery, nothing too fancy. I'm sure if you have a thin enough leather and a burly enough machine, you can just put it through an embroidery machine.
Yeah,
Exactly.
if it's a garment weight leather, I think you can do that. But the other thing to think about is, unless it's, if they're trying to get more of an embossed look to it, you can burn it in. You can take a burning tool, a hot tool, and actually burn it into the leather.
Or a laser.
Or a laser! Which I did. Look at that. Ta-da!
Oh, I know somebody who's going to be jelly.
I see a starch bin on the other side.
Yeah, I made a stamp. It didn't work really well. Also, I forgot that if you make a stamp, you have to cut it mirrored.
Yeah.
Otherwise, every stamp piece will be backwards.
Oh, but it'll look good when you put it in the mirror.
Yeah. Yes, in the mirror it will look good.
Or on Instagram.
All right. Let's see here. Where was I? Okay. Yeah. So my other note on the embroidery is go check out Fev Studios on Facebook. I'll put a link in the show notes to her page. Lee does a ton of leather work, and also her Assassin's Creed outfit. She did all of the embroidery by hand. Again, because she's a crazy person, but it looked amazing.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some things end up having to be by hand. You know.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. All right, we've got some. Let's see. Moving forward, got some laser cutter names coming in. I'll write all these down. Let's see. The Ashbringer. Ashbringer's pretty good. I'm gonna write that down. A little World of Warcraft reference there. Ashbringer, there we go. We also have Super Laser Cutter 3000. Not bad. All right, and then Emily wants to know, since you have a laser cutter, do you plan to make a time-lapse video of laser cutting and assembly in the future? I have already done some time-lapse video because my phone does that, but I plan on doing more of that in the future because it's really neat.
What's with the 6?
The interesting thing about the time-lapse, let's see if I can just put it on this freaking thing, is that oh no, that's not it. Oh my god. Sorry.
Awkward.
It's a really good radio, you guys. Oh, it looks like it's gone. Anyway, I had a video. It looked weird because the print head looked like it was moving at the normal speed on the time lapse. It didn't look like it was going really fast. So it just looked like it went and just printed in like 3 minutes in about half a second. It was really neat. But yes, I'll definitely do more of that stuff in the future. All right, we have Ashbringer. I wrote that down. Cool. Here we go. Here we go. Dan wants to know. I was hoping to begin my first set of armor out of EVA foam. I want it to be either ODST or Spartan from Halo. So do you have any tips or tricks to help make my first set? Abby, you did some Halo armor.
Yeah, well, my armor was made by Tim Lin. Because, you see, my armor was like my mecha costume. It was the one costume I've always wanted to do, and I didn't trust myself not to fuck it up. So I went, Tim, and we sat on long Skype sessions going over how I wanted the armor to put together and how I wanted it to look. But my biggest recommendation for armor when it comes to, especially Spartans, because there's so much detail, is to go to the experts at the405th.com. There is every single thread and every single how-to, anything is all right there, and it's just, that's going to be your go-to.
You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Nope.
Right, yeah, you don't have to go remodel old Stormtrooper helmets. They've already done that, you guys. Although the new ones.
Oh, yeah.
Really cool.
Well, Firefek has all the Pepakura, or not Pepakura, but all the 3D models already up on the RPF for people who want that helmet.
Yeah, definitely don't reinvent the wheel. Like you guys mentioned the 405th, I'll put a link to that in the show notes, and that's where all the Halo guys are. Also look up the guys at Stony Props. Those guys do all sorts of Halo stuff.
Yeah, Blue Realm Studios, they've done a lot of the official stuff for Halo.
It's Tim's time.
It's Tim's time. The thing that you have to know about the EVA foam is with Master Chief, because it's got such good angles, that armor, it really takes EVA foam really well. And if it's not sealed all the way, or your whatever PlastiDip, Epsilon, whatever you start using, if that starts cracking, it looks cool still because you're battle damage Master Chief. And also with ODST, Sean Bradley, he's got the ODST kits, which I can personally vouch are some of the easiest kits to put together.
I want one.
Oh yeah.
Coming.
Cool. All right, thanks, Dan. Good luck with your Halo armor. I think you're gonna have a lot of fun doing that armor. I can't wait
when you're done.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Yeah. My next thing is my next armor is probably gonna be from Destiny, so I'm definitely feeling the space armor.
Yeah, I'm still on my. I'm gonna do a full Master Chief build. I don't know if I want to 3D print it or if I want to actually, do it out of foam. I'm kind of on the fence because I want to be 7 foot tall. You can't tell I've got boobs, Master Chief, and just walk around Comic-Con like finally tall for the first time in my life.
Like a boss.
So you're gonna have stilts.
I probably am.
Yeah.
Then you'll be T-Rex Master Chief.
All right, this next question comes from Andrew. He says, what would you recommend for wrapping a bow handle in leather?
Like, are we talking bow?
I'm thinking bow and arrow. That's what I'm feeling.
Okay.
And wrapping it? Like, what kind of leather?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on just the look you're going for, right? I don't know a lot about bows functionally.
Well, you could do, if you have to dye it yourself, you could do a vegetan hide and just cut it in strips like what we did for my Shauna spear.
Yeah.
Or you can do a garment leather as well. It really
Yeah, it depends on kind of what your finish look is. So like for her Claudette sword, we took a fairly lightweight leather, but it wasn't quite garment grade, but it was thin enough that you could manipulate it. And with any kind of leather, you can take it and wet it down, and you can shape it around whatever you're working on. So in this case, on the bow, and then you can come back and punch some holes and start running your lace through it, so you can tie it in and sew it in. That's what we had ended up doing with her sword. But for Shauna, we actually just took strips of leather that were a little more rugged and durable, and just did a wrap. But that was a static piece, just so.
Yeah, I mean the thing is that for a bow, because those have really, they're curved pretty good. I mean, they're not exactly a cylinder, so I would say do smaller strips. That way you have more flexibility with moving the leather around.
The guys over at Tested did a great video with Adam Savage where they wrapped leather around the handle of a sword. So that might be kind of similar. I'll put a link to that video down below too. So definitely check that out. I know they recommended, they didn't use it, but they recommended using barge cement, which I adore.
Yeah, it's great stuff.
Yeah, they ended up using super glue because it was faster, which I've done that too.
You know, the only thing I would be worried about with putting leather on a bow is changing how the bow functions.
Yeah, about
so most of the bows that you'll see that have been wrapped in leather are only wrapped in essentially the handle portion, and the rest of it is wood or whatever it is, because that's the portion that's going to be flexing, and once you add leather to it, you're going to change the dynamic of the bow.
There you go. Spoken like a man who knows how to use his bow. Next question. This one's from Joshua. Joshua says, watching from the East Coast. Staying up late. All right. I've been wanting to make a Gotham City Police Department detective badge. That sounds awesome. How would you go about making the tiny letters on a small prop? Well, I would do it with lasers.
I think I would either that. I mean, I think laser cutting is going to be your best bet just because of the amount of detail in that. One thing to be aware of is that most places, if you take it to be laser cut, they won't do it because they won't do certain props that look like
licensed.
Yeah, or licensed property, or even military or police property.
Oh yeah, security.
They don't want you impersonating an officer. So I would go with the RPF and see if somebody's done a run of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's when it comes to things like that, unless you just really, really, really want to make a badge, there's probably 10 different people who've done it before you. It's like going out and buying a Judge Dredd badge, or I want to make a Dredd badge. There's like 20 different guys that have made really good badges, and they've done it. They've got the molds. Sometimes it's easier just to go to the expert.
Yeah, I'm actually going to look on the RPF right now and see if someone has already done it. I bet they have. Gotham City Police Department badge.
I know there's a whole crew of them at Dragon Con.
Yeah, well, there was a run of somebody did a mold and actually had metal badges run. So.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Because you got a what badge did you get? You got the Blade Runner.
Yes, I got a Blade Runner. I know that they did a run of what was it? Walking Dead.
Yeah, Walking Dead badges.
King County. So I suspect there's probably something out there, but otherwise, like a laser cutter. I've seen guys use like CNC machines.
You can also do foam and cut it in with a heat tool, or I wouldn't recommend a Dremel. I'd say a heat tool would work best. Because I can't remember, are badge raised letters, or are they recessed?
Usually they're raised.
They're raised, so yeah, you could flip over. Well, you could do a Warbler too. You could flip it over and then do it in, put foam, Warbler, and then do a heat tool. I forget who just did a tutorial on that. I'll have to look it up.
There you go. Lots of really good ideas. If you want to do laser cutting, you can go to Pinoko. I'll put a link to that below. Pinoko. Pinoko will do laser cutting for you, and they're really good. I had a piece by them here, but it's gone now. Oh well. And again, they may or may not cut a badge, though. That's the only thing. All right. Thank you, Joshua, for your wonderful question. This next one comes from Kyle. How does clear PlastiDip fare as a final coat for painted foam? Does it have any effects on the look of matte or glossy colors. Have you guys used the PlastiDip very much?
I've used both clear and black, and honestly, no real difference.
Yeah.
Essentially spray on rubber.
Yep.
So the end result is very similar.
I like black when we use it because at least we can tell how much coverage we have
Yes.
on a piece or what the width is going to be. The only thing is if it doesn't set right, you get that peel effect, and then the next thing you know is that you're at the con and what's this?
So I use the normal clear PlastiDip is more of a matte finish, and then they have one, I think it's called the Glossifier, the glossy version of it. I haven't used that one. I just used the normal one on some of my props that I had at BlizzCon, and it covered really well. I probably should have put a couple of more coats on it. The handle on my pieces, the PlastiDip peeled off. It did. It didn't really impact the prop all that much, but the rest of the prop it worked great on. There you go. All right. Another question. This one is from Alex. Alex says, when working with foam, I've seen mixed opinions on which kinds of respirators you need. I've seen people use the ones that look like dust masks and ones that look like gas masks. Any difference? And which should you use for foam?
The pink one. Use the pink one.
I have well, it's not actually pink, but it's the same kind of respirator as the pink one. If you are sanding foam and there's a lot of particulate in the air, and it's not burning or melting the foam, there's just dust, you can get by with just a normal dust mask, so long as you're not breathing in the dust. If you're using barge, especially in a small room, if you're using any other chemicals, then you want to use the pink one. What was that?
He's busted my ass because I was using barge cement with no ventilation, kids, and came out of that room high as a kite.
Yeah, no good. We enjoy our livers. Well, we try to treat our livers better as we get older. Anyway, yeah, if you're worrying about toxic fumes, then you want a respirator that's rated for like paint or chemicals. That's the one with the big pink gas mask looking things. So there you go. If you're worried about dust, that'll stop dust too. So usually my respirator sits around my neck all day, and if I need a dust mask, I just chuck that on. It's gonna work. All right, thank you, Alex. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. They've been really awesome today. I've got a crap ton of notes to give you later after we're done with this. All right. Jonathan says, I'm leaving for a con at 8 in the morning tomorrow, and I have no costume. What's the best last-minute or no-effort costume you've seen or made? I know what mine is. I did. Have you guys watched the anime Fooly Cooly?
Yep.
Familiar? All right. The dude with the eyebrows. The government dude. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't remember his name. But
Yeah, me neither. But I went to Goodwill. I got a suit, and then I got 2 pieces of felt for the eyebrows, and I just spirit gummed them to my forehead. Done. It was great. I put it together in like 20 minutes. That's my recommendation.
I think, if he's leaving at 8 a.m., though, no Goodwills are going to be open at that time. So I think your best bet is to maybe do an agent. Like you could do, you could go to Walmart, and they're open mostly 24/7, or some Targets are too, and get like a black suit and dark sunglasses, and you're either Men in Black or someone from the Matrix.
Shave your head. You could be
the Hitman.
Yep.
Yeah. Get a red tie. Get a Sharpie on the back of your bald head, and you're Agent 47.
You can. There's so many easy costumes. You can throw on regular clothes and just say you're Dean or Sam or Castiel from Supernatural. Trench coat, blue tie, done.
My other go-to one is I grab my camera and I get a hat and I put the Daily Bugle thing in it, or like press, and I'm like, I'm Peter Parker.
I've seen guys go and just get basically a Superman T-shirt and throw on a suit and have it open with the glasses and their Clark Kent.
Yes.
There's a lot of quick things you can do as long as you've got a suit in your closet.
Yeah, awesome. There you go, Jonathan.
Otherwise, you can quickly throw together a post-apocalyptic costume. Just tear it all up, find some shoulder pads or some other things that from the trash. Just throw them on. Good to go.
There you go, Jonathan. I want to hopefully tweet me tomorrow, Jonathan, with what you end up doing. I want to find out what you do. All right, let's see. This next one is from Lasse Films. All right. I was wondering, when sanding props, how do you keep the dust and residue from going everywhere? I live in an apartment on the second floor with a balcony, so I plan on doing it outside, but I don't know if it's smart to just let it all blow off. Then it's someone else's problem.
It depends on where you live.
Yeah.
I mean, what they're.
Yeah, Well, I have a dust collection system, so I'm like, obviously, just use your dust collector.
What is your dust collection system that you speak of?
His name is Will. He works right there, and I give him a broom and a shovel. It's like, collect the dust.
See, we're thinking you have this high-tech vacuum system in your shop. And...
No, I do, actually. It's a giant vacuum with tubes running to different tools, so I can turn it on when I'm using my belt sander, and it sucks all the dust up.
I would say he could also set up, like a fan and have it blowing a certain way, or,
Speaking of Will, when he worked in his apartment, he just got a plastic crate, like a tote Rubbermaid thing, and he cut a hole in that and put his shop vac in there, and then did all his sanding in that enclosure, and then most of the dust that gets kicked up got sucked into the shop vac. So long as you don't mind running your shop vac and bugging your neighbors, that'll work for you.
Yeah, as long as your neighbors don't mind. I guess that's why I like wet sanding so much as I possibly can, because it's like, oh, this is nice and clean.
Yeah, that's pretty handy.
Get away with that with
I
UVA
know.
film.
I know. For sure.
Yeah. All right, thank you, Lossy Films. Good luck with your sanding in an apartment. This next one is from Matt. And by the way, guys, I don't see many more laser cutter names. Feel free to submit laser cutter names.
I'm telling you,
high-tech Brazilian.
the high-tech Brazilian. Nobody. It's like, how do you beat that mental image?
Yeah, you guys have an uphill battle, but feel free to recommend some more in the Q&A. All right, this one's from Matt. I had cut a sword blade out of thin hobby wood, but it turned out it was completely floppy. Are there clear coats or something to make a blade more rigid?
Is this a euphemism for something?
They make pills for that.
Yeah.
I think it's not a clear coat would be helpful. I think that he needs to sandwich the hobby wood with maybe a plastic piece, like could get something cut from Tap Plastics, or a sheet of aluminum. Or
it's tough. I want to say probably just cut it again from a more rigid material. That you could spend a long time trying to fix it. You could spend a lot less time just starting over. I'd probably recommend doing that.
That's right.
There we go. Done. This plan is formed.
Okay, fine then. Jeez.
Good luck, Matt. Let's see. Here we go. Ronald wants to know of you guys, when you are at a convention, do you still get those fanboy or fangirl moments anytime you see writers, artists, celebrities, or cosplayers that you like? You still fangirl or fanboy out? And if so, who?
Sometimes.
Sometimes Abby can't breathe because, okay, so most recently we went to Kamikaze and, oh my God.
Who are we talking about?
Kevin.
Torbo.
No.
No. Conroy.
Yeah, Kevin Conroy walked by.
Oh.
And I got to meet him. And so, like, I played it cool while, thank you so much for, trying not to freak out. Walked away and I burst into tears.
Well, Kevin and I had done a couple things years ago, Sacramento State Fair and some other stuff. And so when I saw him, I hadn't seen him in a long time, so we chatted for a moment, and then I let him go because he's kind of being hounded. So then I walked into the bar area, and I go, "Oh, Abby, you just missed Kevin Conroy." And she goes, "Oh my God, you have to introduce me."
Batman the Animated Series was like one of my favorite. I have that thing memorized. And I was like, you didn't introduce your wife.
Well, she was gone at the time, but anyway, so I dragged her over there, and I'm like, Kevin, I'm really sorry, because you know.
My wife's not gonna talk to me.
Yeah. There's a good chance I won't get anything tonight if I don't. Anyway, long story short, she got to meet Kevin.
But yes, we still definitely fangirl and fanboy. I mean, when we met Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis,
that was pretty cool.
As I was dressed as Troy, he was dressed as.
And maybe slightly embarrassing.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
They actually fangirl boyed over us. I mean, they were like, "Oh my God, you look just like us," and Marina was like, "Johnny, come over here."
Although I think that there's a good chance that Jonathan was filing for a restraining order, but
that's because you told him I'm wearing your pants.
I wore your pants.
Because he had Jonathan Scream use pants when he was trying to find this. Anovos had asked us for help.
It's a long story.
With finding the pattern size of the pants, so they put Keith in Jonathan's pants. And this came up.
Anyway,
of course it comes up. Of course it does.
So yeah, it happens occasionally. You know, for me, I've always been the kind of person that everybody that's out there, for the most part, you know, if you're an actor or, you know, cosplayer or whatever that you're into, it's often feast or famine. So one day you're a superstar, and the next day you could be just struggling working as a waiter somewhere. So that's the reality of it, and I personally try to treat people as people, and they seem to appreciate it. So
yeah, I mean, because we all poop, and we all have shitty moments and times where we're great and times we don't feel good. So I think appreciating somebody's work and what they do, I think that's what makes someone fangirl or fanboy. Although I will readily admit I freaked the fuck out when I saw Benedict Cumberbatch at Comic-Con. He was like away.
She did. I was a witness to that.
There was a little like freak out. Like I jumped on top of the chair I was sitting at.
Well, he is so dreamy though.
It's not that he's dreamy. I like his voice. I just want him to read to me. It's like, just read to me. I don't care what you look like. Just read.
Here's a phone book. Go.
Exactly. This is how 50 Shades of Grey started.
Ew!
I still, and it hasn't happened, well, kind of. I still haven't met Adam Savage face to face, and I think I would probably trip over my mouth trying to talk to him, but someday.
You know, and I would imagine that Adam probably has that mutual admiration where he would probably be in the same situation. So he is a bigger fan of the RPF and the people that are on the RPF.
Yeah.
So I mean, he has those fan moments too. He'll be like, "Oh my God, you're Bill, right? You made like the Skyrim stuff, and you did like the gun and." Right?
He did that with when Harrison, my friend Harrison, met him. He walked up to him and said, "Harrison, I'm a huge fan of your work." And Harrison said, "That's my line."
Well, I have a funny story about a dinner with Adam and another friend who's also in the industry. He's an actor, and they were mutual fans of each other. And of course, I'm just witnessing this because I'm on the other side. And he was like, "Well, I have this. And I brought you this, and well, I have this piece that I brought from this," and they're fanning over each other. And I'm just there going, "Wow, this is really cool."
That's adorable.
I don't know what to say about this.
All right, well, that's awesome. It's so exciting and cool that we can live and work in these circles where people are so cool and awesome and fun to fangirl or fanboy over, and a lot of mutual respect going back and forth. Thank you, Ronald, for your awesome question. All right, we've got some laser names. We've got Baby Cyclops. That's pretty good. Let's see what else here. Short Range Circumcision Blaster. We'll put a maybe next to that one. Thank you, Nathan. Short range, yeah. Let's see. We got the Burninator like Trogdor. That's a good one. We got that written down.
Could be named Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins. Pretty good. We have R2. Just good R2. I could paint it to look like R2. That'd be kind of awesome.
Bill, why are you a week behind on your commissions? I was painting my laser.
I was painting my laser. All right, let's grab a couple more questions before we roll on out of here. Here we go. This one's from Petros. How do you discern the length, shape, and location of darts when you cut into foam armor? After that, have you been able to reheat and bend glued foam to fix any mistakes? Imagine doing darts in foam is probably pretty similar to doing darts in just about anything else.
Yeah, you just have to measure it and test. You know, make sure you get that angle right. I mean, I know I make a lot of darts and things.
Yeah, there's some good foam books out there too.
Yeah, a couple of them I heard are pretty good. Something foam Smith something.
Yeah. But I think it's just making sure you have that pattern piece and you're testing it. And I definitely know once you can reheat the glued pieces. Tim from It's Tim's Time, when he was coming to Comic-Con, he got his car broke down the side of the road in Utah. In the middle of summer.
It's like 100-degree weather.
It's like 100-degree weather or more in his car, and he's waiting on the side of the road for AAA. And his Master Chief suit, or his Halo suit, it's not Master Chief, it's his own design.
Reach, I think.
Was in the back of his car and literally went, "Boop,"
Oh no!
fell apart. So he got to San Diego after his car got fixed, and he's in the hotel room heating with the hotel blow dryer and hot glue, putting his suit back together because it had fallen apart. So
yeah.
Use high quality hot glue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Also, what I would say, if you watch, we mentioned earlier, Evil Ted's videos about doing a foam helmet. He shows how he makes his template on a head, and he draws and cuts the darts right into the template, which is really cool. So definitely check those videos out too. And then I always recommend when you're making something from scratch from foam to make everything a little bit bigger. And then if the dart isn't quite right, you could actually recut it, remove material, and then glue that seam back together again.
Yeah, this is almost like the reverse of the measure twice and cut once.
Yeah. Measure big and cut like 4 times.
Yeah, exactly.
I think.
It's always better, to have more material than less.
Mm-hmm.
I do that all the time when I'm sewing. It's like when I first made his Jedi robe, like his arms were like, he's like, excuse me. And I'm like, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to ask about this.
So I was like, seriously? How many pounds do you think I've gained? Really?
Trying to tell me something.
No.
All right. Thank you, Petros, for your question. We'll grab 1 or 2 more here before we get ready to roll on out. Let's see here. This one is from a pal Nathan. He likes to ask this question. He says,
Another Nate?
Another Nate. This one's Nate from across the pond, though. He says, if you could build anything, no limits, no time restraint, no budgetary restraint, what would you build? What's your dream costume?
Besides my 7-foot Master Chief, I want a Jaeger.
Yeah, she does.
I want to be a mother.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Like with music and lights and sounds. Like when I put my feet down, like I want the, and
yeah,
the theme song to play.
Like the giant robot that Legacy Effects had at San Diego a couple of years ago. Yeah. Except
I want to walk around in it and like terrify the masses.
Yeah. How tall do you think you can make it?
As tall as I possibly can manage.
Yeah. That's pretty good. How about you, Keith? Do you have any bucket list?
That's a good question. I would actually like to have a new improved Master Chief. Barton armor would be nice. My dog is licking my fingers strangely. I would actually like to have some really higher quality functional Iron Man armor.
And he says that because I bolt him into his armor and he can't raise his arms, so he's literally at my mercy while he's in his Iron Man armor.
And I really just want my helmet to move up and down,
Yeah, so, when you have a like voice activator or a button and it.
Yep. I'd be happy with that. That would be
there is something about Iron Man dudes. My twin brother does his Iron Man, which is awesome because it fits me. And he's done 2 of them so far. The second one was all Pepakura, all fiberglass, much better. But he's like, well, the next one I make is gonna be even better. There's something about Iron Man costumes where people are like constantly doing it again, constantly upgrading it, making it better and more functional.
Well, I mean, my suit that I have came from a guy in the UK, and he, by the time I got it from him, it was one of those things where he's like, "Oh my God, you do Tony Stark. I want you to wear my Mark III suit."
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and we worked out stuff, and it was my chance to have my dream. But he was on his like 4th revision, and probably 20 grand invested.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I mean, between sculpts, I mean, because when he did the Iron Man armor, it was so early. It was before Iron Man came out. It was off of like 3 pictures from the internet. So
didn't use EVA
and, yeah, and every time he saw new stuff come in, he'd be like, "Oh, wow, I gotta go through this now." And it was all sculpted, and then molds, and then fiberglass, and vacuum form. So that was his attempt at it, and I mean, it's great, but you're always trying to find new ways to do better things. And I know tons of guys that are always like, "Well, I want, the missiles to pop up, and I want, this to happen. I want this to happen.
I want to be able to my suit."
Right.
Oh yeah. Cool. Well, that all sounds really, really awesome.
What about you?
Oh man, there's so many. I want to make Destiny armor. That's my next thing. My big thing, I always tell people, and I just watched this movie last weekend. I want to make Corbin Dallas's apartment from The Fifth Element.
Like with the whole bed and everything?
Oh yeah. And I want to put it on a trailer so I can take it places.
That'd be cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
When we were up at Reno, Wizard World Reno, or as they like to call it, Reno Comic Con, there was a TARDIS, but it was cool. It was on wheels, and there was a girl wearing a blue dress, very pretty girl wearing a blue dress and a key necklace, and she moved the TARDIS around the entire floor, and she entered the contest. So it was very clever.
That's cool.
Amount of mobility for a big object.
Yeah, well, I want to drag mine behind my car. All right, thank you, Nathan, for your question. Thank you, everyone else who brought your fantastic questions. We didn't get to all of them, but you guys keep bringing such good stuff to the show, which is freaking rad. But that's it. All done with the questions. We can rest easy now. We've solved all the world's problems, cosplay related.
Did we pass the quiz, pop quiz?
We did. We all earned an A. Yeah, so thank you everyone so much for watching this fine evening and showing up. Thank you guys, Keith and Abby, for showing up and being totally cool and awesome. And Toby there, I see Toby joined us.
Thank you for having us, and considering we've only been trying to, coordinate for a while.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Other than that, we'll do this whole shebang next week. I'll post this up tomorrow with a whole bunch of show notes, so everyone go check those out. And other than that, we're out of here. Woo! Bye, everyone.